But anyways, I don't know how many of you have went to parties with David, especially like fun gatherings and whatnot, but he always would do these silly icebreaker games. Oh my God, drive me nuts. And I would always get like, the ugly toad or something stacked to my back, and I had to guess what I was by the end of the night, and guess what, I never guessed. And he'd get something like, I don't know, G.I. Joe or something, and all the pretty girls would talk to him all night. So I think it was the games. I'm not, maybe it was the girls. I'm not sure at this point, but anyways. So I thought, I always complain to him, why do you gotta do that? You know I'm not good with that, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sorry, Dave. That was a lot of fun. And it's funny what you miss once it's gone, so I am going to reward him with a silly little thing. Don't worry, you just can listen. And there's a little lesson at the end, and it's a lesson that David constantly drilled into my head since day one. Thank goodness. Anyways, Dave had this friend, and he had the weirdest problem. I mean, it's a problem that you probably have never heard of. He had a frog stuck to his head. A frog. So he kept telling his friend, you need to go to the doctor. See about getting that removed. That's just not right. So his friend went throughout the United States looking for a doctor, but nobody could seem to help him. So finally, he went to this doctor that all the other doctors suggested. And David's friend walks into the reception desk and he says, or he didn't say anything, he signs in. And it just so happened that the doctor was walking through the hallway and saw this strange sight. I mean, who has a frog stuck to their head? So the doctor didn't know what to do, but he saw it and he knew what was coming through his door. So he quickly ran to his, let's say, engineers of science, his friends at school and the professors, and he says, have you ever heard of this problem? I'm gonna talk to this guy in a minute, I don't have a thing to tell him. Nobody at all could come up with any solution for this frog stuck to this man's head. So he had this man sitting in the waiting room for so long that he had no choice. Everybody left, it was getting dark, and it's time to go and treat this man, this patient man. So he tells the receptionist to let Dave's friend know to just come back to the examination room. Well, once the man got into the examination room, the doctor asked Dave's friend what his problem was. The friend just stood there looking at the doctor. And the doctor asked again, what seems to be the problem? Still, no answer from Dave's friend, just a blank stare. So finally, the doctor exclaims, if you do not tell me what the problem is, then I cannot help you and you will have to leave. As the doctor said this, the frog spoke up and he said, can you please help me get this wart off my butt? So David would share stories like this because it gets to the point of the matter, and in every situation, it really depends on how you look at it. It's a perspective. The frog had a wart on his butt. The man had a frog on his head. So when you go home tonight and if you're thinking maybe some sad thoughts or whatnot, just kind of think back to it's all about perspective. And I only had him for 13 years. And it wouldn't matter if I'd had him for 400. It would have never been enough time. Oh, didn't mean to do that. So here's to you, David, with your quirky little stories and your awkward moments. And all I can say is, can you get this wart off my butt? Okay, you guys. Sorry about that. We're going to have Ryan come up and talk for a moment. Ryan is David's best friend. And David asked for Ryan to speak. He also asked Chris, another friend of ours, to speak, but Chris is out of the country. He did send a video. I'm having some issues with getting it to play. I'm going to try my best while Ryan is speaking. Forgive me if I'm not looking at you when you speak, but I do love you. No, you're going to come over here right now, young man, and you are going to give us whatever it is that, I don't think you prepared anything.
He probably didn't.
No.
He's David's friend. Why would he?
No, he's different. All right.
You have to lean and go. You got to take the lead. Come on.
Anybody who knows Dave knows that prepared speeches, not his way. Dave did ask me to say a few things while he was ill, and he wanted to make sure that I didn't talk about all the things that people talk about at funerals or at memorial services. Everybody knows what a great person Dave was. Everybody knows what a truly special individual he was. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about today is some of the memories that I have specifically of my friend and what made him truly unique in my entire experience and someone that I'll never be able to replace. So for those of you who don't know me, I met Dave right around 20 years ago. And we were thrust together as my girlfriend and his wife used to work together. And so as work things happen, you get together and some people just happen to start talking and figuring out that they are compatible. One thing about Dave is if you ever played any kind of sport or were in any kind of endeavor with him, he was just a little competitive. Just a little bit. So Dave and I used to play golf a lot. Like we would go play golf in the afternoon when it was 95 degrees and everyone else would stay home. Dave and I would be out there to play golf to try to beat each other. And when that didn't work and it got cold outside, we took up the game of racquetball together. Now, if you've never played racquetball, you're in a very small enclosed space and you have two guys who are over 6 feet tall, neither of which are willing to give way and don't know the game. As my wife can attest to, we came out of those battles with more than a few bruises and sometimes some great stories to tell, including when one time he hit me in the back of the head so hard it almost knocked me out with his racket. And I still liked it. Go figure that one out. The last thing I wanted to talk about with Dave is and Tina hit this, his unpredictable nature, which made him such a valued friend. He and I took a trip together. We went to West Virginia to go whitewater rafting. And that would be a great weekend all on its own, except for we're young and we have a lot of things to do and we both like to golf. So we went from West Virginia, whitewater rafting on the Gauley River, and drove all the way to Louisville, Kentucky to play in a golf tournament the next morning. This is smart, everybody, right? Yeah. So we're driving through the night to get to the golf tournament that's supposed to tee off in the morning. I'm sound asleep in my car. Dave's driving. How many of you have ever heard the Kid Rock song, Ball with a Ball?
Oh, yeah.
And you know how it starts, right? It's kind of mellow, and then all of a sudden it just kicks right in, and it's very, very loud. Well, I got to see how loud my stereo could go with that song when I'm sound asleep. David, my friend, you still almost gave me a heart attack then. And today, I wanted everyone to really recognize what a truly unique and special individual he was. And one that we will never be able to replace, but we will never forget. And as we never forget, he will live on through each of us forever. So thank you very much.